Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker liked single-player games. Hero Comics here, and it looks like some poor, unfortunate souls still believe that Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker made Suicide Squad the way it was. They didn't. They made single-player offline games bursting with content. Suicide Squad was a live service game with piddling amounts of stuff at launch. One map, 4 characters, one gameplay style, one faction of enemies, and they wanted people to stop playing Fortnite for this? Fortnite has way more characters, and they added 4 more characters in one season. This game is clearly made to attract Fortnite players. You basically jump and shoot as a crazy cast of characters, and you can customize them with new weapons and armor sets for $24 each. The greed of this game was out of control, which convinces me that WB are the ones that made the game live service. They even said they want to double down on live service games. Let's look at this stuff like a crime scene. We have 3 suspects, Sefton and Jamie, WB, and Sweet Baby Incorporated. Sefton and Jamie have been making successful games for years. Yes, they wanted to retire, but why retire on a massive loss? And why have a story where Batman looks like a horrible person? From what I could tell, they ended the Batman Arkham series with Batman Arkham Knight. He said goodbye to Catwoman and Commissioner Gordon, and then made it look like he and Alfred died. But there was a glimmer of hope. You see, when 2 very familiar-looking robbers mug a rich couple, they get scared away by a fiery bat monster. And those robbers look like Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker. My guess... Bad monster. Batman used the fear toxins Scarecrow used on him to scare those criminals. My guess is that he's semi-retired now. He is getting older, so he can't be as active as he used to be. And this ending could be a good way to set up a spin-off series, namely a Battle for the Cowl game. For those that don't know, the Battle for the Cowl comic was about how Batman disappeared and other heroes were trying to take his place. This would be an awesome opportunity to bring back some characters from the previous games, like Nightwing, Red Hood, and Robin, and introduce new characters like Cassandra Cain, the Grey Batwoman, and the Red-Headed Batwoman. The ending could change depending on who comes out on top. The best ending would be Nightwing's, and that could set up the Justice League game that they need to make. That hasn't happened yet. What has happened is our crime scene. We are standing in front of a chalk outline of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and we need to figure out who killed it. Sefton and Jamie are suspects, but things aren't adding up. Why is Harley the main character and Batman the joke character? Why is Harley deflated and covered up? Why are all the women deflated and covered up? Why is this game a live service when all of the Arkham games are single player? Let's look at the other 2 suspects. WB was once an amazing company, comparable to Disney, when they were good. But lately, they have been having trouble. Other games of theirs have been greedy too. Multiverses, an amazing WB character-themed Smash Bros. Style game, used to be great. You played as several fun characters, including some Justice League members. But the game was ruined by, you guessed it, microtransactions. No one wanted to play these things. No one wanted to pay these things. Sound familiar? Suicide Squad Kill the Justice Arkhamverse was so greedy they had the goal, to nerf the characters, you play as, and buff the enemies to pad out the game. They had 4 seasons with piddling content given during each one. 1 new character, 1 new boss fight, more guns and skins to buy, and a smidgen more story. It was basically, you get a new character that plays the same as the old ones, basically, and a Justice League member as a decoration. You never play as the Justice League, just 8 fanfiction characters with guns. It's totally Fortnite style with other modern trends involved, including using a popular movie to make a game. 10 years ago, when the horrible idea for this game was conceived, a Suicide Squad movie was coming out. So WB told people to make a Suicide Squad game to capitalize on the movie's success. Unfortunately, instead of making a no-name studio put out a third-person shooter with Suicide Squad themes, they forced Rocksteady to make a game in a style they never made before. It took almost 10 years and the result sucked. But WB didn't kill the game by itself. Yes, all the cheapness and greed and trend chasing caused a lot of problems. But what really sealed its fate was its story. Some people may disagree, so let's look at the story of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and the ones who wrote it. The ones who wrote it. Sweet Baby Incorporated. We start off with audio logs that should have been fully animated cutscenes that tell us that Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, and Flash, and Wonder Woman were all idiots and fell for Brainiac's trick of wanting to have peace talks aboard his skull ship. They said that if it was a trap, they would be ready. Only Wonder Woman and Flash escaped. The others were captured and then seen attacking the citizens of Metropolis, killing some and turning others into Brainiac goons. Amanda Waller, leader of Argus, the equivalent of the U.S. government, especially the military branch, has the brilliant idea to find the weakest people possible and King Shark and have them fight the best, most powerful superheroes in the DC universe. And to make matters worse, the crappy tie-in comics show her using the Arkham Knight, the Arkham Asylum, as her own personal Thunderdome. She had all these great villains fight each other to the death, and then I can work on that. She had all these great villains fight each other to the death, and then the ones that survived will join the team. Somehow, only Harley Quinn, Black Deadshot, Boomerang, and King Shark survived. All of the others died or looked like they died. Then she has them fight over the neck bomb insertion device. That was the footage of the opening credits. Then we get to the rest of the story from the launch content of the game. For some reason, Argus sends their only hope to fight Brainiac and the Justice League on a runaway train into Metropolis. The train crashes into a station, and after blowing up a wall to get out, they fight their first Brainiac goons. Eventually, they get equipment from the best place in the game, the Hall of Justice. This museum of Justice League characters shows off how awesome a Rocksteady Justice League game could have been. You see holograms of the Justice League talking about stuff, Superman talking to the school children, Batman and the others talking about their origin stories. It was so cool. It made me want to play as them even more. Anyway, eventually they find Amanda and are sent to find Flash and fight Brainiac's forces. They take down some of them, but then they get captured by Green Lantern. Flash saves them by fighting Green Lantern, but eventually Green Lantern loses track of Flash. The squad find him injured and defend him until they get into a building to hide from Brainiac goons and Green Lantern. Unfortunately, the building they chose was the Batman Museum. This was one of my favorite parts of the game, after Batman killed two cops. Anyway, he turns off the lights and stalks the squad. Some people have said that this part feels like a reverse of the Arkham series. That this part makes them feel like the villains in the Arkham series, getting haunted by Batman. You play as each member of the squad, and they can only walk around and shoot at whatever they can to try and stop him. This is the part of the story where the villain beats the heroes to show how strong the villain is and how far the heroes have to go to be able to beat him. But for me, it was awesome to see Batman doing what he's supposed to do. Beat up these gun-toting losers. I cheered for him to beat them up. I cheered for him to beat them, and I wanted to play as him and the Justice League while doing it. Anyway, after knocking down Harley, Batman tells Green Lantern that he found the squad and Flash and that he gets a gun. Then he gets a gun and points it at Harley. He says something like, "Let their corpses strike fear into the hearts of anyone else who would resist." Then he shoots the gun at Harley. Flash uses the last ounce of his power to knock the bullet away, saving her life. But Batman then grabs Flash and beats him within an inch of his life. He only stops when Brainiac tells him to. He then says, "We're ready for phase," and then Brainiac teleports him and the Flash away. This part was weird. Why would Batman and Brainiac let these losers go? I had a theory about it. They didn't. Batman told Brainiac that they were ready for teleportation, and Brainiac has teleported whole groups of henchmen from his ship. And right after this moment, they start to beat the Justice League. I thought that Brainiac had beamed up the squad and was brainwashing them like he brainwashed the League. That scene confirmed later. That scene confirmed later when he froze them in place and was about to transform them into monsters. But that theory was debunked by the fact that Lex was able to teleport them away from the Skull ship. They really did all those things according to the bad writing of this game. They killed the Justice League with guns and plot devices, and then beat Brainiac and used his brain to locate the other 12 copies of him. Yes, there were 12 more Brainiacs, because it's a live service game. That was the only reason. The story didn't really progress after the launch content. After months of nothing and way better games coming out, we got Fake Joker and one more Brainiac boss fight. And that's pretty much how each season went, and the story of each season. Season 1, you got a fake controllable Joker. Season 2, you got a fake fanfiction Freeze character. Season 3, you got a Kimba Lair self-insert version of Lawless. Season 4, you got an old man that says he's Deathstroke. Then, during Season 4, the end finally came. They found the last Brainiac and beat him, and then a motion comic and cutscene played with Harley Quinn narrating. She says that they got into the real Brainiac's lair, and suddenly Superman broke out of his containment and told Brainiac to stop doing what he was doing. Brainiac tells Superman that he can't fight, and Superman says that he can't, that he can get by with a little help from his friends. Harley thought he was talking about them, but then Batman swings by Brainiac and punches him, and that was the end of the fight. The Justice League and the Squad worked together to teleport Ivy, Toyman, Penguin, and Gizmo away from Waller, deactivate the neck bombs, and teleport Brainiac to Waller with instructions on how to tell everyone how they saved the world and to not come after them, or Lois Lane not to come after them, or Lois Lane will publish secrets about Argus. And then they show the form letter thanking the player for their support. And they showed the form letter thanking all the players for their support. All 1,000 of them. And that was the end of the story. What a load. You gotta do it right. You messed up when your story. You messed up your story when people want the villains of your story to win and not the heroes. I wanted to play as the Justice League, not these fanfiction fools. I was not interested in the speeches these fools did when they won against the League. Especially Harley's. She lectured Batman on causing physical and emotional damage to everyone he knew. That's rich coming from her. The story of the game ruined it. And who was in charge of the story? Sweet Baby. Some people lie and say that they weren't, but their names are in the credits, and they proudly say they write stories for games. Also, a copy of the Suicide Squad games cover art was on their website, but it mysteriously disappeared after the game failed. And even more incriminating, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's followers. Justice League follows the same pattern of every sequel Sweet Baby helped make. God of War Ragnarok, the white male main character is sidelined, weakened, and replaced with characters they like more. Insomniac Spider-Man 2, the white male main character is sidelined, weakened, corrupted, and replaced by characters they like more. Alan Wake 2, the white male main character was sidelined, weakened, corrupted, and killed, and replaced by characters they like better. And last but not least, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The white male main characters, Batman and Superman, and a bonus black man, Green Lantern, and woman, Wonder Woman, were sidelined, weakened, corrupted, and killed, and replaced with characters they like better. Also, they enjoyed race swapping in certain characters. Saga Anderson was white in the first Alan Wake game. They had a black girl be a Norse god in God of War Ragnarok. Norse gods aren't black. They're Norse or Icelandic. And the Deadshot in Suicide Squad Kill the White Man and his friend was obviously modeled after the Will Smith version of Deadshot from the movie. But he doesn't look, sound, or act like Will Smith. And he still counts as a race swap because he says he's the real Deadshot and the actual Arkham Deadshot is a fake. He even kills him in those crappy tie-in comics. Sweet Baby does these things all the time. Also, notice how each replacement character is not as good as the ones they replace. That's a Sweet Baby trait too. With all the evidence that is plain to see, it is obvious that Sweet Baby and WB make Suicide Squad the way it is and caused this failure. Not Sefton and Jamie. Don't believe these lies. Lies that Sweet Baby and friends probably told. During the months-long break between the launch content of the game and Season 1, one of the way better games that came out and got way more players at launch was one from China. It was called Black Myth Wukong. It was a game based on a classic Chinese story, The Monkey King's Journey to the West. For those that don't know, it was what inspired Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. This game was filled with references to Chinese mythology, characters, gameplay styles, and story. The boss fights were hard, and you had to really plan ahead for them. A lot of people liked it, but not Sweet Baby and friends. Rumor has it that they told Game Science that they could help with their game for $7 million. Game Science widely declined their kind offer and sold the game as is with great success. You know that if Sweet Baby had gotten their hands on it, it would have been called Black Girl Wukong. That would not have worked out. Let's see here. It's a game of great success. Suddenly, rumors began spreading in the mainstream media that the game science developers were bad people and you shouldn't play their game. Turns out those rumors were false. The person who said they translated their tweets or whatever, did it wrong. They said something like, "We're working so hard on this game that it's hard to get blood flow to certain areas of our bodies." Yes, it was a sexual comment, but it's basically the same as saying, "We're working so hard, we're getting swamp butt." It wasn't meant to offend anyone. And yet, the rumor spread and probably affected the critic score. But irony of ironies, the game was so well received that it got nominated and won a Game Award. It was for best action game. It ran against some of the other way better games, the Suicide Squad games that came out between seasons, like Stellar Blade and Warhammer Space Marine 2. And the most delicious thing of all was that a guy that worked on yet another failed game with Sweet Baby was the one who had to announce Wukong's win and give the representatives of the dev team their award. It was some Mordecai and Haman stuff. For those that don't know, Mordecai and Haman were enemies that worked for the same king in the story of Esther in the Bible. Haman was high ranking in the kingdom, and he wanted everyone to bow to him, but Mordecai would not bow. So Haman planned to trick the king into killing him and all his people. But before the plan was supposed to go into action, the king summoned Haman to ask him a question. "What shall be done for the man I wish to honor?" he asked. Haman, of course, thought he was talking about him. So he said, "You should dress him in one of your royal robes, put a crown on his head, have him mount your horse, and have a high-ranking member of your court lead him through the city, proclaiming that this is the man you wish to honor." The king liked Haman's ideas and said, "You are the highest-ranking member of my court. Go and do all you have said to do to Mordecai." Haman had no choice but to obey. Imagine the humiliation of having to honor someone you wanted to destroy. And things got even worse than that. Haman eventually tricked the king into making a law that would get all of Mordecai's people killed. Mordecai found out about this and told the queen, and then she told the king, and she said, "Please change this law. If you don't, it will cost me my life." He asked her why it would do that, and she told him that Mordecai is her cousin. She is a member of the very race that the law said must be killed. Well, when the king heard that, he had Haman executed. And then he changed the law so that the queen's people would not be killed. Mordecai was promoted, and things got better for everyone, except Haman, of course. Irony of ironies, the way he was executed was by being hung on the very gallows he built to kill Mordecai. I feel sorry for that guy. He had something good, but blinded by his greed and hatred, he ruined it. And the opposite of what he wanted to happen, happened. It's the same with Sweet Baby. Every game they helped make fails. They now hide all the games they are working on their website, so it's harder for us to find out which ones they are, but that won't work. First of all, screen caps exist. You can Google pictures of what their website looked like before they started hiding it. Second of all the clues I talked about earlier, we will easily be able to see which games they and their friends work on. Are the women deflated and covered up? Did the white male and sometimes female main characters get sidelined, weakened, corrupted, and or killed, and replaced by worse characters that are more diverse? Is the gameplay a cheap knockoff of other better games? Then there you go. It may have been a Sweet Baby and Friends made game. It also can be a clue if the mainstream media likes the game, but the play score is low. The player score is low. That's how it is with woke games, with all woke games. They should leave the AAA game industry to the good developers. Woke games need to be for indies. Woke games need to be funded by cash from actually successful things. Woke games should never be AAA, and they certainly never should be live service. Because woke games don't make money. I wish WB and Sweet Baby realized this before they made Suicide Squad kill the Justice League. Then it would have been a totally different game. I'm Hugo Webcomics. Check me out on YouTube and DeviantArt. I look forward to the layoffs hitting Sweet Baby and Friends. Their crappy story has got lots of people fired and studios shut down, so it's only fair. And look on the bright side. They can go back to making crappy fan fiction and fan art online. There, they can write and draw whatever they want. You want your team of normal humans with guns to kill some of the strongest beings in DC Universe? In fan fiction, they can, but it will never be canon. Sorry. Also, all of your attempts to ruin franchises you don't like will fail. Yes, you may feel some So you may fool some people into thinking that the franchise can't ever come back because a non-canon game was made in an effort to ruin it. But eventually, someone somewhere will make new canon games. A Batman Arkham VR game was made soon after Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was, and it was pretty good. And that's only the beginning. More Batman games and Justice League games are coming, despite your best efforts. You want to know why? Because Batman and the Justice League make money. And all these big corporate conglomerates want money more than anything else. So go ahead and make that Arkham remake that won't sell well. Someone better than you will make the sequels we actually want. And ironically, you eyes of WV gave us something that could be good as an asset flip. As an asset flip. Someone already turned the 4 losers you play as at launch into Marvel heroes. So why not DC heroes instead?